Hi, my name is Brian Docherty. My family's been viciously attacked by Police Scotland and Aberdeenshire Council since my wife and I reported a paedophile 2 years ago to Police Scotland. Our children have twice been removed and put into the care system. Our family's been put under surveillance. We have been treated shockingly and appallingly by the Scottish Government, Police Scotland and Aberdeenshire Council, all since we reported a paedophile to protect our family. I have now 20 questions for the First Minister, the former First Minister Alex Salmond, who was the First Minister at the time, who is the MP, who is currently the MP and was the MSP of this part of Aberdeenshire when this scandal happened against my family. Mr Salmond, on the evening of Friday the 8th of August 2014, I reported a paedophile to Police Scotland officers in Peterhead. At the same time, Viscount Petersham and the paedophile I reported were in a neighbouring police station in Fraserburgh, according to Police Scotland later. That evening there was an emergency meeting summoned to Viscount Petersham's estate at Crimmon Gate near Fraserburgh. Many of the registrations we took that attended the estate that evening were cars that had their headlights off to avoid detection. As a close neighbour to Viscount Petersham, will you confirm if your car was one of the vehicles summoned to this meeting? Mr Salmond, you were First Minister when my family was attacked by Police Scotland and Aberdeenshire Council Social Services because my wife and I reported a paedophile in Aberdeenshire, your constituency, when this paedophile tried to buy, quotes, access to my disabled son. Aberdeenshire is your political home, where you wield massive power as the then First Minister, former MSP and now MP of this region. Did you therefore approve all of the attacks by Police Scotland and Aberdeenshire Council against my family and organise its subsequent cover-up? Do you think it's a coincidence, Mr Salmond, that when you were MSP and First Minister for Aberdeenshire, that Police Scotland and Aberdeenshire Council and Grampian NHS fabricated knowingly false reports to their counterparts in Ireland to remove my children with the aim of sectioning me and my wife for reporting or for daring to report an elite paedophile ring involving friends and neighbours of you in your constituency? Disclosure Scotland, Mr Salmond, is a body under the control of the Scottish Government Justice Department, as you well know. This body carries out checks into people who work with children, such as teachers like myself. This body contacted me after I reported a paedophile, stating my status as a teacher needed renewing. This was not true. Disclosure Scotland then tried to discredit me by attacking my professional status as a teacher after I reported this paedophile. Who authorised this attack in 2014 when you were First Minister and MSP for this area? Why did the Scottish Government body Disclosure Scotland, part of the Justice Department, email me stating that my police check or PVG scheme was out of date, which they knew was incorrect, and seeking to know my current address in October 2014, Mr Salmond? When you were First Minister, my family was reported to Interpol. According to the Irish Garda, while we were on holiday shortly after reporting a paedophile to police in Scotland. Was it you, Mr Salmond, as Scotland's most senior minister, who authorised this referral to Interpol, or was it your then Justice Secretary McCaskill, who also favoured the early release of sex offenders and stood down at the 2016 election? Did you, Mr Salmond, approve the task force set up between Police Scotland and Aberdeenshire Council Social Services to attack and split up my family for reporting an elite paedophile ring in your constituency to your government? In 2007, upon becoming First Minister, you, Mr Salmond, gave Prince Charles, your friend, £5 million of public money to buy another stately home in Ayrshire, which you later said in the press was the best money Scotland had ever spent. In 2014, you stated that if Scotland became independent, your good friend Prince Charles would become the King of an independent Scotland. You are well known to be a close friend of Charles, regularly attending functions together and even singing together. Prince Charles, according to media reports, was a 30-year close friend of the notorious paedophile Jimmy Savile. As someone with close friends in the aristocracy, did you offer to do a favour to your neighbour in Aberdeenshire, Viscount Petersham, who is connected to the royal family by marriage of his sister, by attacking my family for reporting a paedophile who is very close friends with him? Mr. Salmond, you have repeatedly called Aberdeenshire your political home. I have been informed that there is not much that goes on in Aberdeenshire that you're not well informed about. This is a political home in which there is very bad housekeeping. Did you sanction Police Scotland to refer my family to Aberdeenshire Council Social Services, Disclosure Scotland, Interpol, and solicit a false report from Grampian NHS because we reported a paedophile to Police Scotland and latterly the Scottish Government? In Aberdeenshire under you, Mr. Salmond, senior officers in Police Scotland and senior managers in Aberdeenshire Council attacked my family, resulting in the removal of my children in a foreign jurisdiction of Ireland, with civil servants in the local police in Scotland and social services in Aberdeenshire questioning and slandering the mental health of my wife and I for reporting a paedophile ring. Is it normal for civil servants in your constituency, Mr. Salmond, to target a family that reports a paedophile ring in your constituency when you were First Minister? You were the First Minister when my family were reported to Interpol while on holiday in Ireland after we reported a paedophile. This referral to Interpol, we've been informed, requires the authorisation not only of Police Scotland but senior figures within the Scottish Government. Which figure in your cabinet signed this referral and why? When Sturgeon took over as First Minister in November 2014, McCaskill was removed from his post as Justice Secretary. In the summer of 2015, McCaskill released a statement saying that he would not be seeking re-election in 2016. Was this statement of his stepping down from Parliament anything to do with actions against my family when you were First Minister? As Justice Secretary, Kenny McCaskill implemented policies giving shorter sentences to sex offenders, and during his tenure, a sheriff put a journalist, Robert Green, in prison for one of the longest sentences for breach of the peace because he exposed child abuse in your constituency in Aberdeenshire. Would you agree, Mr. Salmond, that protecting paedophiles and covering up child abuse is a recurrent theme in the Scottish Government under you? Do you think it's a coincidence, Mr. Salmond, that my family was targeted in your constituency and then targeted in the constituency of your opposing number in Ireland, Enda Kenny? Did you give former disgraced Chief Constable Stephen House carte blanche to attack my family in 2014 and 15 by the coordination of an international task force to remove our children and have me and my wife sectioned in the aftermath of us reporting a paedophile to the Police Scotland and to the Scottish Government? Would you agree, as some have suggested, Mr. Salmond, as former First Minister, that you have put friends, privileged positions and the titles of powerful paedophiles over the rights of parents, the rule of law and the safety and well-being of children? Mr. Salmond, you have visited Communist China over a dozen times as First Minister, including giving a speech to an elite gathering of their political leaders. Do you think that removing children of people regarded as enemies of the state, as they do in China, is a commendable policy? Was your policy to have named persons of state parents inspired by one of your many trips to Communist China? Do you agree, Salmond, that when a politician is involved in abusing the powers of public office and involved in covering up paedophilia by allowing public bodies to target a family who reports a paedophile and an elite paedophile ring to your government, then that politician should face criminal charges just like any other person? Mr. Salmond, you were the First Minister during the Holly Gregg abuse scandal involving a disabled child like my son. in Aberdeenshire, just like my family at the time, by a paedophile ring in Aberdeenshire. You were known for covering up the scandal about this girl, Holly Gregg. Why? Mr. Salmond, it's a well-known open secret that you have a gambling problem for decades and have amassed gambling debts, which is quite substantial. As a public servant, do you agree this could make you vulnerable to offers from people involved in organised crime?